From the Sebring International Raceway, this is round 2 of the Intercontinental Trophy Cup Series presented by Avitas Group. Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Scott. Right now we're taking a look at the track map of the historic 3.7 mile road course in Central Florida. Now we're going to ride on board with Ralph Marin, number 21 Health Warehouse, P2 Cayman. As you see right now, entering into turns 1 and 2, there's pit out on your right. A couple years ago, the pit ball was extended, therefore you couldn't swing out just as wide. Now we're exiting off the runway back onto the access roads for turn 2. It's a kink. That sets you up for the left-hander at turn 3. Turns 3, 4, and 5, nice and flowing. Right now we're taking a look at some of the crews preparing their cars for this past weekend. Hang on to left-hander at turn 5, and they'll set you up for Big Bend, turn 6. Nice flowing right-hander. And that sets you up for a straightaway towards the hairpin. As right now we do see the Chateau Elan on our left side. Heavy on the brakes, so entering the hairpin. Hairpin's a sequence of 3 turns, though we only count 2 of them, 7 and 8. And now we're on our way to turn number 9. Turn 9, aptly named Fangio. And we're heavy on the brakes for the right-hander at turn number 10. Cunningham turn, that takes us into number 11 right there, Collier. As we come out of turn 11, we'll hit turn 12, then take the 90-degree right-hander, known as the tower turn, and down a short straight, which will bring us into turn number 14. Bishop turn 15 and 16 will be at the end. A very important sequence as they lead on to the highest speed section of track. We see the right-hander at turn 16. Here we see the right-hander at turn 16. That leads us on to the Ullman Straight. We'll see speeds approaching 145 miles an hour. As we see a long time to think about what's up next, and that is the final turn here on the historic 3.7 mile track, and that is Sunset Bend. It's a bumpy track and should be aptly named Wheels Up track because right there, as you see, the cars will get their wheels up off the ground, but you don't want to be out too wide or else you'll see that tire wall up close and personal. Back on the gas for the finish line, and that completes a lap at Sebring International Raceway. On to qualifying for Saturday. Beautiful weekend at the track. We're following Jeff Esringhausen onto the track for our Race 1 qualifying session. And as we are sharing the track with the other classes of cars, the biggest challenge will be staying out of the way of traffic to get a good lap. And illustrating that point is Andrew Baxter in his number 21 Poor Cat Designs Porsche in the P2 class. He finds a BMW and a Mustang heading into turn number 17. And that is why you don't want to stick out too wide on 17, get a little loose. And we're joined now by our P1 and P2 pole setters. Mark Sandridge, our P1 pole setter. Lucas Johnson, our P2 pole setter. Let's start off with, I guess we can call you a rookie in ITC, but you're not a relative rookie, Mark Sandridge. And Mark, first of all, congratulations on the pole. You know this track very well, like the back of your hand. So how easy was it in managing the traffic? Because he had both the Thunder and the Lightning groups out at the same time.
Yeah, it was a real challenge out there. You know, I was one of the lucky ones, I'm sure, to get a clean lap. And but the Porsche Cayman is just an awesome little car, and it just handles and goes wherever you ask it to go. So we just got one clean, good lap.
And Lucas, this is your first time here as a competitor, so you know the history, you know what winning Sebring means. What are your thoughts right now, basically?
Really, my first impression of the track is just it's an outstanding track. I mean, just to know the history behind it, 12 hours of Sebring. There have been legends that have driven on this track, so just to feel that in its own is a great sense. And then also being able to take the top spot in qualifying in the P2 class was wonderful as well.
Sandridge was your overall fastest qualifier with a lap of 2:21.373. Next to Jeff Esringhausen Lucas Johnson will start inside row 2 alongside Tim Fox, the top GTP qualifier. Now on to race 1. We're on board with Baxter, and the green flag flies still side by side. Oh, there's Chevalier. And it looks like Bruxelles trying to make a move, heading into turn 1. See a lot of jockeying for position early on. Lots of wheel-to-wheel action. Martinson and Baxter off turn 5. See if they can fight through the pack, as we do see Ralph Mayer goes around in turn number 5. And left barely missing him. Booth and Bruxelles adding to many of the battles in turn number 7. As you see Baxter testing out 17, the spin cycle there. Here comes Martinson. This was his first race in GTP, and he was extremely competitive, as we see. Looking back towards Mara and Johnson coming through the hairpin. Sandridge was on it all race long, and Bruxelles also takes a quick spin cycle through turn 17. Johnson, Chevalier side by side through 1, neither giving each other an inch. As we do see Mara avoiding the reason why we're under yellow over there, turn 17. And the checkered flag falls at the end of the race. Here are your winners. Dan Martinson wins in GTP with Mark Sandridge winning in P1 and Lucas Johnson taking another win in P2. Now this week, we sit down with the driver of the number 12 Poor Cat Designs Porsche, Andrew Baxter, out of the Body Motion Camp, and he's one of the newest drivers at ITC. Talk to him about what he thinks of the series.
Andrew, it's your rookie season here at ITC, and so far you've been doing pretty good, especially at the last round of Atlanta.
It's been fun, the bottom line for me is just go out there and have fun. If I get a good result, great. If I don't, I'll try harder next time, but it's just fun. So I'm really pleased, and I hopefully will expand from there and get some better results.
Let's talk about growing up. Why motorsports? Why did you decide racing instead of like a stick and ball sport, or going out and playing hockey?
Well, I've always been an absolute fanatic for cars. Apparently, when I was a little kid, I slept with a little toy car in each hand instead of a teddy bear as like an infant. So I've always had a passion for cars. As far as other sports go, I've played around with other solo sports. I used to compete snowboarding and play tennis and sailed, but I've never really been much of a team player, if you will. I'm an only child. I guess it carries through into my sports. So the combination of a sport that pushes me into mentally as well as physically, and I can rely only on myself. The crew is key, but as far as once I'm on the track and the car is performing as it should, it's only down to me. So the combination of that and the thrill factor has always been a...
Let's talk about the crew. The Body Motion crew, one of the best in the business, and you have drivers who've been around this circuit a couple times. What kind of experience are you garnering from that?
It's unbelievable. I feel as though they have an answer for everything. As a newbie or an amateur, I feel like I can't really voice some of my concerns and what I'm feeling in the car, and I have this roundabout way of saying it, and they're, oh, you mean this? Oh, you mean that? And I'm like, oh, you figured that out from what I was saying. It's unbelievable. The knowledge is second to none, and I'm really happy to have gotten involved with them.
P2 class is, I guess, the young gun class because it's you and Lucas Johnson. Being the young guns of ITC, what's it like telling these other kids, hey, it's not just a guy, businessman series?
From what I've experienced, it's a phenomenal feeder thing. I mean, you can get your track time, your seat time with real wheel-to-wheel action, and I think it's great. I think it's affordable, relatively. You can get into it and do it and learn how to drive a sports car in a competitive environment, which will stead you well in anything you choose to do. If you want to do this as a weekend thing for the rest of your life, it's a great thing to do. If you want to do it as a stepping stone for a larger series, I think it's great.
Where do you want to go in motorsports?
As far as I can. I guess it's a vague answer, but I don't put all my eggs in this basket, obviously. If I could be the next Fernando Alonso or Vettel, that'd be fantastic. Do I think that's realistic? No. But it'd be nice to be able to do some bigger pro events and just see what happens. It'd be nice to see where I can go, is the bottom line.
And for the second time on Saturday, we found ourselves back on the racetrack with the 3-hour enduro race. First ITC enduro of the season. 3 hours, 2 drivers sharing the duty in each car. Green flag is out. Now as we see the cars go down the pit road, pit stops are very critical. Lucas Johnson comes in for fuel and a driver change. He'll hand the car off to Stephen Simpson. As you see behind him, Dan Martinson will also come into the picture. John Teesey was the co-driver for Dan Martinson. Quick fuel stop and go for the 32 Isringhausen team. As we see the view coming out of Sunset Bend. Green flag out after a full course yellow early on in the event. And after that green flag, Rob Solanaker brings in the 14 for the pit stop. That was their only stop of the day.
1-4 is in.
As we see Fox getting Solanaker out. There's Mike Bavaro getting the fuel inside the car. That's not the only thing that they would do. You cannot work on the car while the fuel is going on. However, you can do a driver change or clean the windows. As we also look at the lower right, got an onboard shot from Dan Martinson. After the fueling was complete, the body motion crew went to work on changing the left side tires for Fox. After that, Fox was underway. And as the sun set on the race, the 57 of Booth and Clark went by. On board 32, or to see why they call turn 17 Sunset Bend as we look down Ullman Straight. As we see the results, Booth and Clark win in P1. Fox and Solanaker win in GTP. And in P2, it was Johnson and Simpson. And Sunday brought the final race of the weekend. Green flag is out. Johnson and Martinson on the front row, followed by Baxter and Fox. As now the green flag is out, Isringhausen and Booth were also in row 3. 3, sometimes 4 wide as the cars will turn into turn 1. Brousseau goes around Chevalier, who seems to be off the pace. In turn number 17, he'll end up bringing it out right there as we see with Chevalier dropping back just a little bit. Fox gets into a little rub with a Mustang, and I always say rubbing is racing. See Johnson try to get around Fox. Johnson, Fox, and Isringhausen up ahead would race all race long, as well as Brousseau and Baxter. Nice little spitter cam from Fox. Great view heading into the hairpin as we see Ralph Mera having a good run. Baxter cuts a little closer with Johnson. Here's another good pass into the hairpin with Isringhausen go to the inside of Johnson. Fox, a little too close for comfort there in turn 1. And Mera is playing the sand a little bit as we see through his front camera. We're seeing another view from Fox and Isringhausen. There's Martinson. He basically had the track to himself. As now we look on board, even closer view of Isringhausen and Fox. Sims looking fast in turn 1. Brousseau trying to go around the outside of Booth. And here was the pass that really was the one that won the race for Fox in second place. And now here comes Martinson coming around 17. As we see Johnson going around Isringhausen on the outside of turn 17 as well. He'll come down the main straightaway, look up at the starter, and he will see the checkered flag fly. Martinson wins in GTP over Fox and Chevalier, Isringhausen, Brousseau, Merritt, and Booth in P1, and Johnson Baxter in P2. On to the podium after throwing weekend of racing. It's time for some awards. First up, Forge Line Forge Ahead Award. Dan Martinson garners $250 for race 1. And in race 2, it was Jeff Isringhausen taking the Forge Line check. Dan Martinson's back up again, collecting $100 for himself and $50 for his crew chief for the OG move of the race in race 1. Race 2 was Tim Fox, as we saw earlier. That pass in the hairpin garnered him $100 and $50 for his crew from OG Racing. Fab Speed, fastest lap in the P1 class was awarded to Jeff Isringhausen. He gets $500. And for the second straight weekend, Andrew Baxter won in the P2 class. He also wins $500. Now for the class results in the round, Baxter finishes in second place in P2. And first place in P2 goes to Lucas Johnson for sweeping all 3 races. He gets $1,500 from the Avitas group. No wonder he looks happy. And P1, Ralph Mayer was awarded a check from Avitas Group for $500 for third place overall in the weekend. Gary Brussell comes up to collect $750 for second. A handshake from Series Principal Dougie Livingston and $1,500 for first place for Jeff Isringhausen. Here is your Sebring P1 podium. And on to the GTP class. An ITC Champions Brew Hancock hat and $500 of Vitas Group check to Vern Chevalier for third place. A happy Tim Fox takes second place and $750. And the overall winner in GTP goes to Dan Martinson for winning both races. For that, $1,500 and a new hat, of course. Here are the overall winners for each class. Martinson in GTP, Isringhausen in P1, Johnson in P2. A great weekend for all, especially Isringhausen Motorsports, expanding their points lead in the championship. Join us for Round 3 at New Jersey Motorsports Park, May 17th through the 19th. This presentation of the Intercontinental Trophy Cup Series has been brought to you by Avitas Group, a family of business solutions. Hankook Tires, driving emotion. Forge Line Forged Alloy Wheels, sponsor of the Forge Line Forge Ahead Award. Fab Speed, performance for the next millennium. PFC Brakes, no compromises. OG Racing, your source for motorsport safety equipment since 1990. All in-car shots filmed exclusively with Intova Sport HD cameras. Born in Hawaii, built for the world. For more, log on to TrophyCupRacing.com. Follow us on Twitter at ITC Series or find us at a track near you. I'm Jeremy Scott, and thank you for watching the Intercontinental Trophy Cup Series presented by Avitas Group.